In the small village of Oron, there lived a wicked woman named Itoro. Itoro was married to Uko, a fisherman and farmer who worked very hard to keep his family going. Aside from being wicked, Itoro was a very troublesome woman who often got into fights with other men and women. She was a very authoritative woman who always wanted things to go her way, and if things didn't go her way, it would end up in a fight. Since the village of Oron was quite small and many people knew each other, almost everyone knew Itoro. They had heard of her troubles, and because of her personality, they all hated her. When Itoro started her troubles shortly after she got married to Uko, the villagers would report Itoro to Uko, hoping that he would call her to order. But despite everything Uko did to end his wife's troubles, none worked. In fact, on some days, if Uko tried to reprimand Itoro, she would abuse him and call him degrading names. She would even accuse Uko of listening to outsiders more than his own wife. Unfortunately, it got to a point where Uko could not control his wife's attitude, so most villagers just avoided her. Itoro was a mother of 2 beautiful girls, and they were of age 10 and 13. Sadly, after many years of watching their mothers start fights and get away with it, the 2 girls followed in their mother's footsteps. They would abuse other children, start fights, bully younger kids, and do other nasty things. When Uko saw how much trouble his daughters got into every day, he was very concerned, so he decided to send them to a boarding school where they would stay far away from their mother. About a month after their daughters went to boarding school, Itoro began to complain that she was very lonely and that she was tired of doing all the chores by herself. When their daughters lived with them, they would do little chores like sweeping, washing clothes, and fetching water from the stream, while Itoro would go to the market and cook for her family. But in the absence of her daughters, she had to do everything by herself. To ease her loneliness, most of the time, Itoro would go out and hang out with a few friends she had until evening. But Uko did not like that. He knew that Itoro was a terror to so many people, and every time she went out for too long, she either abused someone or got into a fight. Because Uko was not comfortable with her new routine, he warned Itoro to stop spending too much time outside and that he would find someone to come live with them. Luckily for Uko, around the same time he was looking for a living maid that he could hire to help Itoro with the chores at home. One of Uko's distant cousins told Uko that he had been looking for a place to send his son, Akan. The reason Akan's father wanted to send Akan to live with someone else was because he did not have a job, and he was struggling to take care of his other son and his wife, who had just given birth to twins. Also, since Akan's father trusted Uko as family, he believed Akan would be well cared for. By that time, Akan was only 7 years old, and he was still very young. Even though Uko never told Itoro, he was happy that he had seen Akan on time. Uko had always wanted a male child, so when Akan came under his roof, he took care of Akan as if he were his own biological son. Uko was not rich, but he ensured that he made Akan comfortable with the little he had. When Akan first moved in with Uko and Itoro, Itoro pretended like she loved him. She would pamper him, give him lots of food, and sometimes carry him on her thighs and pet him like a baby. Upon seeing how Itoro treated him, Akan was glad that he had moved into a home of love. Every morning, Akan would wake up early and sweep the compound and do the dishes. But before midday, Akan would get tired because he was very young. The first few days, Itoro noticed that Akan would only sweep and wash the dishes, then he would eat and sleep off. Itoro did not say anything, but when time passed and Akan did not change despite everything Itoro had said to him, she became furious. You will not eat in this house today if you do not go to the stream to fetch water. Do you expect me to go and fetch water for you so you can waste it? Itoro said in a very furious tone. Her voice was so loud that even Uko, who was sleeping in the house, heard it. Itoro, why are you like this? Uko asked in shock. You want this small boy to go to the stream? Where is the head he will use in carrying the water pot? He is too small for that, please. Uko said. He is too small to fetch water, but he isn't too small to eat. Haven't you seen boys smaller than him going to the stream? Itoro barked back. Itoro, you are such a wicked woman. When Umfon was here, did you ever allow her go to the stream? You would complain that she was too young, that her older sister should go. But is this boy not younger than Umfon? Uko asked. He was referring to their youngest daughter. That was then! Leave Umfon out of this! Mr. Too Good. Will you go if you don't want him to go to the stream? Because I will not go and fetch water for both of you. Never! Itoro said, and with that, she rudely walked out on her husband and Akan. Uko did not see, but Akan had been crying while he was exchanging words with Itoro. Come, my son. Stop crying. Uko walked to Akan and rubbed his head playfully. Have you eaten this morning? He asked Akan, and Akan shook his head. Oh yeah, come inside and eat with me. When we finish, we will find someone to help us fetch water. Uko said as he led Akan back into the house. Later that day, Uko paid one of the teenage boys in his neighborhood to help fetch water for him every 2 days, and the boy did. Uko expected that after the water issue was settled, Itoro would no longer have the reason to maltreat Akan or continually yell at the poor boy. But he was wrong. One day, Uko went fishing, and luckily for him, he caught a lot of big fish that day. After he sold the fish to his customers at the market, Uko decided to take home one big fish so Itoro could prepare a nice soup with it. As Uko had expected, Itoro was excited and she hurriedly took the fish to the kitchen to make the soup. Throughout the process of making the soup, Itoro depended on Akan to do everything. Akan ground the pepper, washed the plates and pots, and did almost everything until the soup was ready. But when it was time to dish out the soup, Itoro did not give any to Akan. She even warned him to remain in the kitchen so Uko would not know that he wasn't eating. Where is Akan? Why is he not eating with us? Uko asked Itoro while they were eating. Oh, he said he wanted to eat in the kitchen. Just leave him. Itoro lied. That's nonsense. We are a family here, and he should be eating with us, Uko said. Then he called Akan to come out of the kitchen. Immediately Uko called Akan. Akan rushed out of the kitchen and walked briskly to Uko. Why are you not eating with us? Uko asked in an angry tone. Auntie told me to remain in the kitchen, Akan answered innocently, and Uko turned toward his wife. He gave her a cold stare, and Itoro understood what it meant. From today on, you will no longer eat in the kitchen. When everyone is at home, we must eat together. Have you heard me? Now, go and bring your food and join us, Uko commanded. Yes, Uncle, but I don't have any food, Akan said. What do you mean you do not have any food? What were you eating in the kitchen? Uko asked in shock. What is he talking about? Uko turned to Itoro. I didn't serve him any food because he's under punishment. This afternoon, I told him to go and buy something for me. And this boy ignored my errand and went to play football with the other village boys, Itoro said. Ah, Itoro, Uko exclaimed. So you could be this wicked. You know so well that he drank tea with very little bread in the morning, and since then, he has not eaten anything else. Why would you cook and not serve him? Do you want him to go and steal? Uko asked. I am only disciplining him. If I don't do this, he will do the same thing again, Itoro said in a defensive tone. If any of your daughters did the same thing, would you starve them like you are starving somebody's child? Why are you like this? This boy is very young, and you know it, Uko said in a disappointed tone. You know what? I will serve him myself. Since you do not want to do the right thing, let me help you do it, Uko said. With that, he stood up from the chair he sat in, held Akan by the hand, and led him to the kitchen. Shortly after they left, Akan returned with a plate of soup filled with fish and another plate of eba. When Itoro saw it, she could not say anything. She just ate in silence. As Akan grew older, he did everything possible to please Itoro. But despite all he did, Itoro would still maltreat him. Even when her daughters, who were older than Akan, returned from boarding school, Itoro would still force Akan to do all the odd chores. She would even order Akan to wash her daughter's clothes and do what he wasn't supposed to do. There was even a time Itoro ordered Akan to wash some of her clothes, but because he had too many chores to do that day, he completely forgot about them. When Itoro returned home that evening and didn't see the clothes on the lines, she began to yell at Akan. Auntie, I'm sorry. I forgot about the clothes. I was busy doing the other things you asked me to do. I promised to wash them first thing tomorrow morning. Akan begged Itoro while she was yelling at him. That's not possible! You will not sleep in this house today if you do not wash those clothes! Itoro responded. As of the time Itoro returned home, it was already drizzling and the clouds were heavy, so by that time, the rain had begun falling. Auntie, please! I will wash them in the morning. You can check the house. I have done the other things you asked me to do. Akan tried to convince her. I don't care if you cleaned the whole village of Oron. All I know is that you will not sleep in this house today if you do not wash those clothes. If I were you, I would go out and start washing them now so you can finish before midnight. The earlier the better, Itoro said before walking out on him. After all of his horrible experiences with Itoro, Akan knew that she wasn't bluffing about making him sleep outside. In the past, something similar had happened, and despite how much Uko begged Itoro to change her mind, Itoro still did as she had said. So without wasting time, Akan packed the pile of clothes outside and began to wash them in the rain. The rain was so heavy and Akan could feel the weight of the raindrops hitting hard against his back, but he had no choice. Luckily for Akan, while he was still shivering and washing in the rain, Uko returned home and was shocked at what he saw. Itoro! Uko yelled at the top of his voice as soon as he entered the house with Akan. You are a witch! A wicked, heartless witch! Uko said as soon as Itoro came out of their bedroom. Would you let any of your daughters go out in the rain? Talk less of washing all those clothes in the rain. You see, this is the reason God has not given you a son, because you are here maltreating another person's son. Uko said angrily. Itoro was speechless. She could not even say a word after all Uko had said. It is very cruel of you to have grown-up daughters in the house, but you forced this teenage boy to do everything. Uko added. So why are we taking care of him if he cannot help out with the chores? Itoro asked in a bitter tone. If he cannot help, then he should leave. After all, he is no longer a boy. He is a man now. Look at his beard. Itoro added, "Fine, he will leave. I cannot let you maltreat this boy and put me in trouble. After all, you wouldn't know the value of a son since you've never had one yourself," Uko said, and then he walked out on Itoro. That night, Itoro was so furious that Akan had abandoned her dirty clothes in the rain. If it weren't for her husband, Uko, she would have dealt with Akan mercilessly. The whole time Itoro had been maltreating Akan, she had no idea who Akan would become in the future and what his destiny had in store for him. Watch out for part 2. Did you enjoy this story? Tell us your favorite part in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to follow our channel on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.